Sam, that's Ashley, that's Ariana, and we did our presentation on the short happy life of Francis Macomber. This is the outline of our slides. I'll be talking about the rhetorical triangle overall of the story and the biography as well as a list of works. The message is going to be spoken by Ashley, the audience, Sam, rhetorical devices also by Ashley, and historical context will be by Ariana. For the rhetorical triangle, the main writer is the author, Ernest Hemingway, and the message is, the main message, well, there are multiple messages, there are about 4 messages I believe, and the main message is that women are evil and cannot be trusted. The audience is, during the time, was mainly wealthy white men. We will get back to that, like why that was later in the slides. Okay. Ernest Hemingway was born July 21st, 1988. I'm sorry. In Oak Park, Illinois. He began, his first interest in writing sprung up mainly because he wasn't very athletic, even though his father was very Catholic and tried to get him into sports. So in high school, he joined the Trapeze, which was his high school newspaper team. And he had a total of 4 wives, because during World War I, I think, because one of his soon-to-be fiance actually left him, and since he didn't want the feeling of being left again, he always left his wife before she could have even a chance to leave him. And that's why I think, and because of that World War I incident, I think that's the main reason we believe that he always depicts women in a really negative tone all the time in many of his novels or short stories. These are the wars he served in. This is where he's traveled, and he's got little job. He freelanced for a while, and then he spent his last few years in Cuba and committed suicide in 1961. Well, I guess he couldn't really find true happiness. That's why he kept moving from life to life. So, and he died in his early 40s or late 40s. So he didn't live very long. These are the list of works. That's the one we analyzed. A Farewell to Arms is based off a story of a soldier in World War I that falls in love with a nurse, similar to what happened to him. For Whom the Bell Tolls, that was inspired by his war efforts in the Spanish Civil War. The Old Man in the Sea and the Garden of Eden, they're just those are just more of the, one was Spanish Civil War. The Old Man in the Sea was based off the Spanish Civil War too. And Garden of Eden was also based off of just his hatred for his wife. I think it was his third wife.
So there are 3 main messages in Hemingway's short story here. The first one is more of a personal message, and it falls back to Hemingway and his relationship with his first wife and her leaving him. And it's just basically that women are cold-hearted and can't be trusted. The second one is seen between Francis and Margot's struggle of power, and power comes at a great price, as seen at the end when Margot shoots Francis, but she's still not happy. She doesn't get the result she wants. And then the last one is that you can't please anyone, seen when Francis he can't please either Wilson or Margot at one time. It's either one or the other. Margot is unhappy when when he finally hunts the buffalo successfully, and Wilson's unhappy when he is showing when he's being cowardly towards his wife. So, the rhetorical devices used are the lack of linear story with a flashback, the third-person omniscient, as the story is told through the eyes of all 3 main characters. Dialogue, which is the same as colloquial realism, like the use of mem sahib, which is a married white upper-class woman, and it could be seen as a mockery tone from Wilson or a respectful tone. There's also the use of implication, when it's implied that Margot is thinking reflects a negative view of women's wrest power, and also relates back to Hemingway's historical context.
The audiences were primarily wealthy white women, just because in 1930s the Great Depression hit, and then many teachers were actually unemployed, approximately 2,300, and then only wealthy people could afford books. And then the message tells that women are very wicked, and then audiences response were the way he intended to. They saw Margaret as very mean female and very foul women.
Historical context. For the historical context of this particular story, we looked at the time when the book was published, and since it was like in the mid-1930s, the Great Depression had just happened, and people were out of work, so that's where we see how he tied in the stress of not having any money, and that's why like Wilson doesn't really care what happens to Macomber in the story, you know, like he's just doing it for the money, and like kind of like the desperation, and like everyone just wants money. But probably the biggest point was that in the 1930s, like women were starting to get more rights, and they were more involved in the workforce, and they were kind of taking over. Like the men's role, and they were known as like fearless